Today, we're going to talk about Demario Davis and why his press conference preaching is so important. Let's get started. Welcome back, everyone. Thank you so much for taking a moment to check out this video. Before we get started, please support this channel by liking, sharing, commenting, subscribing, and hitting that notification bell. We're currently participating in an experiment to see if we can grow this channel to 1 million subscribers, and you can help us in this effort. We'll be posting videos every single day on this channel, so please take a moment to make sure you're subscribed and you hit that notification bell, because it's going to help us break YouTube's algorithm. Now, today we're going to be talking about Demario Davis, the linebacker who currently plays for the New Orleans Saints, and he has recently been using his press conference as a means of sharing the gospel.
Oh man, I got a lot to say, so y'all buckle up. I started to realize something. Man, we play this game on Sundays, and it's really the Lord's day. And when the day we should be worshiping the Lord, a lot of times players are getting worshiped. A lot of people don't know this, but on Friday, my daughter, she's 4 years old, she had her third epilepsy seizure attack. It's my same daughter who survived retinoblastoma. She's been totally cleared of that, but she had her third seizure, and it's been almost 2 years. She was about a month away. If she would have had no seizures for one more month, then she would have been off the medicine, but now we have to start that clock all the way over. It was on Friday when a bunch of kids were over at the house, and she was playing, and I noticed something was off. And I told her mom I thought she was having a seizure. Her mom is pretty good. She saw it, my wife, and we took her in her room, didn't want to cause a scene, and she started to foam at the mouth, and it was her worst seizure. For 30 minutes, she seized. She wouldn't come, and we had to call the paramedics. They came, and so over the course of time, it ended up being a total of 30 minutes. They got her in. My wife got in the paramedics with her. I got behind them driving. You can imagine all the thoughts that's racing through your mind. The last sight you see of your daughter is she's totally out of it. Got to the hospital, and my wife told me that my daughter stopped breathing in the car twice. So I'm, of course, praying. We get to the hospital. They give her a bunch of medicine. They seizure stops. She's laying there. And at this point, if she seized for 30 minutes, you start to fear there could be development issues that could mess with her brain. She stopped breathing. If there was no oxygen going to her brain, you're starting to think about her speech be slurred or anything, or worse. So we prayed, and she had medicine, and my wife and I had to stay overnight at the hospital. And in the middle of the night, probably about 3 o'clock, I heard a knock. And the knock was my daughter. She woke up talking clearer than she was talking before.
Now, there are a few reasons why this is incredibly important. One of the reasons why this is important is because God has always called his people to use their platform to stand out in their generation as a means of demonstrating what it means to be a part of his family. We see this all the way back to the earliest times of the biblical narrative, going all the way back to the days of Seth, where there was confusion and where there seemingly was a break within humanity that divided individuals who would rebel against God from those who would represent him and declare his name. Literally, as we look in the biblical text, there's this phrase that is so important. It is a phrase that states individuals begin, or they are to call on the name of the Lord. Now, many times we take this to mean to simply pray or petition God, which obviously that is a meaning that can be taken away from the use of this phrase. But more importantly, whenever they use the term call on the name of the Lord, what they're basically saying is that there's no one else we can call on. When we call on the name of the Lord, that is not only our petition to God, but it is also a declaration of the God to whom we are calling. And since we are calling on this God, we are professing, and even in some instances declaring, that there is no other God to whom we can make our petitions, because this is the only God that can respond to us and act upon our needs favorably. This is why in Genesis chapter 4, after the death of Abel and the birth of Seth, we find that in verse 26, it states, Seth grew up and he had a son and named him Enosh. And at that time, people first began to call on the name of the Lord, or as the New Living Translation states, they began to worship the Lord by name. This is to say that, yes, as they were petitioning or asking their God for assistance, what they were doing in effect was declaring him in a world that seemingly forgot him. Now, Demario seems to have a very incredible sense of understanding of the climate and the current times that we're living in. He followed up his first press conference with a second press conference that kind of elaborated on why he's doing what he is doing and encouraging individuals who are Christians to stand up and use their platform to share this message about Jesus Christ.
Well, I wasn't going to preach today. I wasn't going to do that. But if I didn't, then I would not be being obedient. I told the Lord before today, if I went back to the podium, that I would make sure that I praised him the proper way. The last time I was up here, God did an extraordinary work through me. It exceeded past myself and into and around the country. And with that, I owe proper praises to God. It had nothing to do, very little to do with me and everything to do with him, so I have to be obedient. So first, I will update everybody on my daughter. She had a phenomenal week. She's doing great, a full bill of health. She's doing phenomenal. As I said before, that knock at the door was answered. And God came in and did a wonderful work in my family. The reality is, when you see a message go around that strong, it's a lot of people that are out there hurting, and it's a lot of people who are waiting on a knock. And I want to continue to reiterate, your knock may not come right away, but to be patient and to wait on the Lord, and he will do what he said he'll do. Another thing was, there was an overwhelming amount of support just from fellow believers and Christians around the country. I want to thank them for that. And I think the phrase that is used oftentimes is, man, that's awesome what you're doing with that platform that you have. But at the end of the day, that's what we are to be doing as Christians. That's what we are to be doing as believers, is sharing the gospel, preach the gospel. The word says, for I am unashamed of the gospel, for it is the power of God to bring salvation to all who believe. It's the power of God. And that's what our world is needing. That's not just talking about salvation for the spirit. That's talking about salvation for the soul. People who are hurting, people who are going through present day situations, who need healing and need God in their life. And only the power of God can save them. So what I want to encourage every Christian, not just Christians with a platform, preach the gospel, share the gospel. In our schools need God. Share the gospel. In our courtrooms need God. Share the gospel. In the hospitals, our hospitals need God. Share the gospel. Preach the gospel. It is the power of God that will bring salvation. And I can't be the only person that feels like our nation needs salvation.
Now, this is extremely important because as we read in the book of Genesis, and we now see the ministry of Jesus actually being presented in the Gospels, he seems to go back to the original responsibility of God's people. That is, people who belong to the family of God are to unapologetically and unashamedly go out into the world and represent the name of the Lord. This is why in Luke chapter 9, verse 26 through verse 27, Jesus stated, if anyone is ashamed of me and my message, the Son of Man will be ashamed of that person when he returns in his glory and in the glory of the Father and the holy angels. He says, I tell you the truth, some standing here right now will not die before they see the kingdom of God. One of the things I admire about Demario is his public and bold stand for the gospel of Jesus Christ. It's not a popular thing. And what we see happening is it is causing all sorts of curiosity. But more importantly, I'm seeing the New Orleans Saints actually share this message on their platform. Well, I hope you have found this video very encouraging. I hope you've been encouraged by the example of Demario. I'm going to ask that you pray for him and his family, that God will continue to bless his daughter and bless his desire and his zeal towards sharing the gospel of Jesus Christ. May it encourage us to be just as courageous and bold and focused and intentional about sharing the gospel of Jesus Christ on whatever platform the Lord will give us. So, friends, thank you so much for taking a moment to check out this video. Please take a moment to like, share, comment, subscribe, hit the notification bell. It's going to help us grow this channel and meet our goal of 1 million subscribers in just 1 year. Until next time, thank you for watching. Take care and God bless.